Welcome to Siasa Africa, your weekly podcast that delves in and examines the political happening in the African continent on a weekly basis. Thomas, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Have you had a good week?
Yeah, trying to. So before we get started, we have a controversy, and you, our audience, are going to have to help us with this. It's either we speak about it or we don't speak about it. And what does this mean? If we speak about it, well, the channel aims to bring Africans together, to unite the continent. However, it's a topic that really isn't a good one, right? Because we're speaking about Tunisia right now, especially the Tunisian president, Kais, who said that Black Africans are responsible for the increasing violent crimes in Tunisia, together with changing the Arab culture, apparently. That's when we speak about, and if you don't speak about it, there are still people who are going to speak about it. So our audience, if you're listening to this right now, in the comment section, let us know what you think, if we should proceed with this topic or not. And before we jump right into West Africa, Thomas, what are your thoughts on this?
So personally, I'm team we don't speak about it. Those are like racist comments that the president of a country, of an African country, did. This is internal politics of Tunisia. So I think if we want to understand those type of things, the topic should be nationalism. So we can speak of case the president of Tunisia saying shit things about like Africans, but we need to put it in parallel with the Zulu king saying deep shit about foreigners in South Africa, and with the Nigerians saying stupid things about the Guinean or the Senegalese or the Sierra Leonean in Nigeria, and maybe last but not least, the Rwandans in Congo. So when we will have seen that every national project tend to define an enemies, and that this is what nationalism is about, defining an enemies. When you can't change people's life, you start to define enemies and say this is because of them we can't make it work. So I'm team we don't comment one stupid comment, one racist comment from the president, just because obviously it's just going to be like a lot of emotions, and we can't stand racists, right? But in the same time, I'm also interested by everyone's bias toward this nationalist project. Like if Zimbabweans are taking a lot of jobs in South Africa, are you gonna say that those Zimbabweans are not African enough to get those jobs or not? If you're Tanzanian, are you gonna say that about Mozambicans or about Kenyans or Somalians? That's where the real question lies to me. But please let us know, in your comments, do we or do we not now cover like those type of events?
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. Now, let's go to West Africa. And this probably is one of the biggest news in the continent right now. Tinubu has been voted as the next president of Nigeria. Most Nigerian youth don't seem to agree with that. And they think that Peter Obi should be the next president. What's going on?
Sorry, I'm laughing, Renatus, because since I'm looking at that elections, I'm amazed. The level of control the national bourgeoisie have of Nigeria is astonishing. So as someone that studied politics, I am not surprised that power want to stay in power. This is almost something. It's almost a rule of nature. When you govern, you tend to want to govern, right? So here we had the APC with Buhari, and now we have the APC with Tinubu, and his slogan was "It's my turn," right? So what it tells me for me that it's my turn really means how stable is that national bourgeoisie, right? They are so stable that there is actually a line of people right now that are waiting for the presidency, that are waiting for certain jobs, and things are happening. It is happening, and the election do not prevent this internal national bourgeoisie question. They know themselves who is going to be next. They argue and stuff. I'm sure it takes a bit of time, but at the end of the day, there is a hierarchy between people that have access to power that have nothing to do with the election. And that's what I find fascinating here. What's fascinating here is that Nigeria, one of the youngest country in the world, right? 25 million people. In the last 2 mandates of their president, like they went in the street countless time. There were even gigantic movement against police brutality. So we do know that the youth are not into APC. In any other democratic context, or in any democratic context, the guys would be kicked out and his opposition wins. Like literally right now, if you're the opposition of Buhari, you should win Nigeria. Every elections more or less kick out the guys that were there before. It's easier to be resentment to have some resentment against the president than to approve what he did for 2 mandates, right? But Nigeria things are different. Nigeria things are different, right? The national bourgeoisie is established so much that they can choose whoever is in charge and when he's in charge and even announce it to everyone like it's my turn. Like, no, we choose if it's your turn. You don't tell us it's your turn, right? But in Nigeria, it is his turn, right? So a country where the population is less than half of the population is less than 25 years old, and then where you would have an 80 years old elected first round, 80 years old elected first round, when most of Nigerians complained about how much Buhari was overseas all the damn time because he was sick. I have no other word that it's a beautiful scam. It's a beautiful scam. To make an entire country of young people like this believe that they have elected a man of 80 years old. That's a beautiful scam.
So, Thomas, can we say with absolute certainty that the elections have been rigged?
I've been investigating it myself with some of my Nigerian friends and some of our previous colleagues or students. Let me just re-explain to you, right? So you have one party in power that done 2 mandates with a really old president that were never present. So the main critics of this president was that he's old and he can't govern, right? That is not going to be sorted by the next president that is as much old, right? Even probably older. He's 80 and people say it might be 90 already, right? So this... So yeah, let me continue. In a country where a lot of young people vote, and where there were a lot of police brutality rather than insecurity, most of Nigerians voted for Buhari to sort out the situation in the north. What they found was that the police of the south now is beating them harder. What type of insecurity have you really developed? So no, I cannot come here and say, here is the proof and the evidence of an election that is rigged. But I also can tell you that a natural election that happened in this continent, and then more in most of the places in the world, but in this continent especially, will not vote in power a man like this without a strong system and a strong structure in place that are voting the candidate of those parties in 60 years. It's been more or less, that national bourgeoisie, it's have nothing to do with election. They select themselves based on opportunity, based on gender, based on class, based on who knows who. But they decide who's going to rule Nigeria. They're ruling Nigeria. Do you see what I'm saying? They're ruling Nigeria, and the election is just a small barrier, something to jump on. But they are governing Nigeria, and Peter Obi can take over, but most probably he has to wait his turn. As I said, there's a hierarchy within national bourgeoisie, and they do know who is coming next in a way.
So Peter Obi has rejected the results, and he has said that he's going to court, and we'll keep our audience updated on what's going on. They just have to stay tuned and make sure they subscribe to the channel.
So Peter Obi won Lagos, right? However, Tibuku was the Lagos governor for the longest time. I don't know if you understand what Lagos governor means, but if you don't, I invite you to read Half of a Yellow Sun, for instance, from Chimamanda Adichie. There's a lot of Nigerians that speak of this, but literally the governor of Lagos is the guy in charge of the economy of Nigeria. He has all the petrol, he has all the economy. They don't have exactly all the petrol, but they have a big side of the petrol, a big side of the economy, and he's a kingmaker. If we decide to extend Lagos 10 kilometers in the north and make malls and stuff like this, he's the one that everyone kind of need to know and see. So he was the boss of Lagos. He's Lagos boss in terms of his patronage system. The people that gave money in order to vote for him, that receive advantage from his governance, are all in Lagos, right? This is the province. He lost Lagos. He lost Lagos for Peter Obi. And this is no surprise. It's only a surprise for him, because find me an African city that vote for the power. Like, find me one. Find me an African city that vote for the president that just leave power. Honestly, as far as I remember there were one once, because I was like, oh, wow, that exists actually. But you'd never know. Dakar vote for the opposition. Kinshasa vote for the opposition. Johannesburg is the first one that is going to drop the ANC in power. Johannesburg don't care about Nelson Mandela. He voted against the ANC. So all city vote against the power. But the rurals and other cities and region where the candidate is strong will vote in his favor, and that can counterbalance. So in the case of Nigeria, Peter Obi was never supposed to win Lagos. So this is like a small evidence that they are not in full control of Lagos. The fact that he can win Lagos tells you that there is some sort of a fissure. I don't know how to say that in English. Something breaking in a wall. You know what I mean? Some wall breaks. Like he was not supposed to win Lagos, but he did, and it's really small margin in total, which means that the guy has his patronage machine. The patronage machine works quite well for him. A 19 years old president elected by a 25 years old medium country for almost a third term for the same party in power. That doesn't look like reasonable.
So with all that has been happening and with all that we know as of currently, what's next for Nigeria?
So we can think of two scenarios. The classic one, opposition go to court rule in favor of power and say, no, there's no evidence of fraud. So they don't say there's no fraud. They say they cannot, as judge, say there were fraudulent activities because the fraud cannot be measured. And so therefore, we don't know how much it's impacted the free and fair elections, right? So small fraud, if you have a fraud of 200 people in a 200 million people voters country, it's not so bad, you know? So that's the first scenario. The guy in power is voted back in power and the judge says, no, he is in power. And I'm almost sure you can guess what is the second scenario. Can you, from where you come from, I think you've seen the second scenario, but the second option. No, the second option is the Kenyan option, where the judge says, no, there is fraudulent activity. I can measure them. I have evidence that this polling station have had 125 people voting when there were only 100 people registered. Right? So I have those evidence, I collect them, and I cancel the election. As a judge, I can cancel the elections, and I reorganize. I ask the Electoral Commission to reorganize a more credible election. So that's what happened in Kenya. The judge have managed to literally say, no, this election is not working. They reorganized one. So that's what could happen for Nigeria. In the best scenario, they reorganize the election. I do not believe this is going to happen, by the way. So if you ask me, but in the first scenario, the most probable one is the judge are in bed with the power and don't want trouble. You also need to know that in certain countries, if you cancel the election, maybe a lot of like opposition forces will fight each other. They will use the people to try to gain power physically, and that might mean like people dying. I don't know if 19 years old politician was dying for.
For our audience, stay tuned. We'll let you know how it goes. Now let's move over to French President Emmanuel Macron. He's gonna be making visits to Africa, and he's saying that France has no intentions of returning to past policies of interfering in Africa.
Yeah. It's funny. I can see you smiling.
Of course, it sounds like a joke to me.
It's happening in 2023, 3rd of March, right? So the last country have been supposedly decolonized by France, or in 1967, you think of Comoros, in late 80s, Djibouti. So the colonization is supposed to be done for 40 years, and we're still here. So you know what the French president said last time he was in Africa? Last time he was in Africa, he went to Cameroon. With Paul Biya, an old president, maybe the oldest president in the world right now. We don't know, but definitely at least officially 92 years old or 93, I think.
I'm seeing the president of Cameroon, Paul Biya. He's 90 years old.
Yeah, 90 years old, right? So he visited 90 years old President Paul Biya. He visited who did he visit last time? Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara. So the classics, and. He told us, yeah, that's what he told us. He told us last time, France Afrique, it's done. It's finished. The previous trip, he told us, hey, guys, France Afrique, it's finished. Okay. And then the previous one, it was actually the previous president. He told us, guy, wait. He went to Ouagadougou in the amphitheaters with students, guys of your age, of the age of our audience. And he said, no, guys, listen, France Afrique, it's finished. It's finished. Do you see how long can I get that? I can find you speeches of French president from 1960 that come to Abidjan, Brazzaville, or Luanda, and that tells you, well, not Rwanda in 1960, but that tells you France Africa is done. Now it's your independence. So if there's anyone in our audience that is interested by what the French president have to say, then raise your hand in the comments. But don't think that what he's going to say will have any impact of any reality. It is not about that. It is not about that. The French president, everywhere they go in Africa, always have to remind people that they're not in charge. Why? Why? Badly because they are accused of being in charge. Are they in charge? I don't know. I don't think so. For not for all countries for sure. But what I'm saying is that a French president cannot set a foot in Africa and says he's gonna do what all the French president did. They always have to come in and say, no, we're stopping what we're doing. Cool. Who is here to believe them? I've been commenting African politics since Sarkozy's speech in Dakar, where he come to say, no, it's a new time for Africa. Africa need to enter history. What? Stupid things. But France Africa is done. Neocolonialism is done. We're stopping. They all say that all the time. So if we want to pay attention to this, audience, go for it. But honestly, I don't think it has any. It has not. It will not have any impact on the continent future. No, I don't believe that.
It is indeed a huge joke. Thomas, thank you for joining me today. And for audience, they should keep tuned in because you're gonna come back again with what's going on in Nigeria and keep them updated.
Thanks.